Welcome to this two-part video series of how to run literacy centers in your classroom. This simple yet highly effective model has been used by many teachers and is easy for students to follow. Using this model will allow you to spend more time in small group and give you more opportunities to differentiate instruction for each individual student. I will walk you through this simple process step by step. This is our center's rotation chart, which we use every day. This is kind of like our control center for managing everything. As you can see, the chart has been blown up to poster size so that we can see it no matter where we are in the room. We only reveal one rotation at a time so as not to confuse the children. There are 3 rotations on this chart. When the next rotation comes, we simply move the flap over to reveal the next column. It doesn't matter what kind of chart you use, as long as it's easy for the students to follow and it helps you to manage the flow of everything.
Ideally, there will be 5 tables for students to work at. One of these tables is a kidney-shaped table used for small group instruction. Here is the center's rotation chart for rotation number 1. This shows where each group will be assigned. We only reveal one rotation at a time to make it easier for the students to follow. The chart shows that the pentagons will be at small group with the teacher. The triangles will be at the red table. The stars will be at yellow, which is open centers, and the diamonds will be at the green table. Students are taught that if they are not at small group, they cannot interfere with the teacher during this time unless they have an emergency. Although there will be some interruptions during this time, we need to establish general rules in order to limit those interruptions. Take a closer look at the red table on the chart. There is a paper icon located there as well as a library icon. This means that the triangle group must first complete the activity. We will call it Activity A. Once students complete their assignment, they must go to the library area to do independent reading. Here is an example of an assignment that might be given. Be sure to explain the directions for each assignment very clearly before sending students into centers. Take a closer look at the yellow table on the chart. It is labeled with centers. This means that students will be able to go to specific locations around the room and do activities and games there. It is completely based on the teacher to decide which center she wants to set up in her classroom. In this classroom, there are the Computer Center, Art Center, Pocket Chart Center, and Sand Table. Only 2 to 3 centers will be open on any given day. The Diamonds group will be at the green table. There is a paper icon located there as well as a task box icon. This means that the Diamonds group must first complete the activity. This is also Activity A. Once they are finished, they must get a task box to work with. Here is an overview of what the classroom will look like when the students are in their locations. As you can see, there are 5 tables: the red table, yellow table, green table, blue table, and purple small group table. The students are in their locations based on the center's rotation chart. The only students who are working on an assignment are those working at red and green. They have to complete Activity A. Here are the students working at the red table. Take note of the assignment that they are working on. When they are finished with this assignment, they will go to the library. Take a look at the note on the yellow table. It says that students do not sit at this table during rotation number 1. There is no activity here at this time. They go to open centers instead. The yellow table will be empty during rotation number 1 because these students will be working at the open centers such as computers, art center, or sand table. They can choose which of the open centers they would like to go to and move freely between whatever is open. Here are the students working at the green table. Their assignment is the same thing that the students at the red table were working on. When they are finished, they must turn in their assignment to a bin in the center of the table, and then they can go and get a task box. Look at the blue table. This table is completely empty during rotation number 1. It says nobody sits here during rotation number 1. Instead, these students go to the small group table. Students will not be assigned to the blue table until rotation number 3. This completes rotation number 1. The teacher was able to work with the pentagons at small group. When time is up, about 15 to 20 minutes, the teacher gives a brief signal for the students to clean up their areas and sit at their assigned tables. At this time, the teacher can walk to the red and green tables and glance at the Activity A assignments briefly to make sure that each paper has a name on it and the students completed the work. This is not time to grade papers, however. This transition period must be very brief so as not to waste center time. Here is what the classroom would look like at the start of rotation 1. There would be students sitting at the red and green tables to complete Activity A. The yellow and blue tables would have no students sitting there. The teacher and a group of students would be at the small group table. The final group would be at open centers around the room. Now let's take a closer look at the library area. When students go to the library, they need to be reading or looking at books. Each student has a collection of books. An easy way to store each collection is by using a large 9x12 envelope. In their book collections, they keep printable books and easy-to-read decodable books that reflect the current sight words and letter sounds that are being taught in the curriculum. Other props are put in the library to encourage reading, such as sunglasses, whisper phones, puppets, and stuffed animals. Occasionally, students may become restless with reading. Therefore, the students have the option to sit at the red table, read a book in their book collections, and color it. This is the red table. Notice that there are 3 folders here at this table. The folders contain the activities that the students must complete. The Rotation 1 and Rotation 2 folders contain Activity A. The Rotation 3 folder contains Activity B. Students must complete an activity during each rotation, return it to the folder, then they can go to the library. Here is the class library. There are many things in the library that encourage reading. Each student has a book collection envelope with decodable books that have been introduced in the curriculum. When they are in the library, they are able to practice reading the books in their collection. Let's now discuss more about the small group table. This is the most important part of centers. Research shows that students perform better when they are able to receive small group instruction based on their particular needs. As we discussed earlier, students are placed into 4 groups based on their performance on assessments. Multiple assessments can be used to determine which group students should be placed in. In this classroom, a phonological awareness assessment is given to determine the groupings. This assessment can be given at the beginning of the year or at any point during the year to help the teacher form groups. Teachers can also take into account other important skills, such as how many capital and lowercase letters the students know, or how many letter sounds they can identify. These assessments will show deficit skills, which in turn will be used to plan small group instruction. Just like a teacher would plan for whole group instruction, she must plan for small group instruction as well. An effective way to do this would be to use a small group planner. At various points throughout the year, groups can be changed. A student may improve so rapidly that he needs to move out of one group and into a more challenged group. Or a student may be struggling in her group and need to move to a group that is working on her particular deficit skill. Groups are flexible, and the teacher should always be in tune to who may need to move where. Here is a classroom view of the small group table. All of the needed materials are kept in close proximity to this table in order to allow the teacher easy planning and preparation. Instructional materials should be gathered ahead of time for each group. The teacher would not want to waste any of this small group time looking for and gathering materials. Notice the 4 pockets hanging on the chalkboard. Those pockets contain the small group planners for each group. Each group's planners are kept throughout the year so that the teacher can refer back to and revisit past lessons.